Good evening, and welcome to our first session of Genova by Night. The year is 1245. In Genova, commonly called now Genoa, a coastal port city on the northwest edge of Italy, is a bustling trader town. One of the few towns in Italy not ruled directly by the church. Tensions run high as the question becomes, will it be faith or finance that controls the people? Although the age of 1245 is dark, the nights are darker yet. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter which controls the people. Because by dawn, there will all be servants of the children of Cain one way or another. The city is ruled by a merchant prince, a man from the Accorsi family of shipwrights. He's made a fortune trading, controlling the port, controlling the seas. More importantly, controlling whether the people are happy or not based on whether they have or have not. This has created an interesting dynamic. For while the church may not like the aristocratic rulership, they're certainly not in a position to openly conflict with it. Doing so would put out the populace. Further, there are rival port cities, traders from as far as the Baltic Sea, Byzantine Empire, Egypt, and Spain. Suffice to say that, while Genova might be a mingling port city, some things are best left unmixed. We join a group of newly embraced kindred tonight. News is filtered around that a caravan is arriving. Well, this is not an uncommon occurrence in a port city, certainly not in a trading city. It's news of relevance because the caravan is not only led by a child of Cain, but it's rumored to be transporting both the remains and relics of a conflict between the demon worshippers of the Carpathian Mountains and the Holy Church. In addition to these relics, which the church will more than likely pay handsomely for, it's brought other strange goods rarely seen this far west, as well as a fresh stock of flesh, for in this day and age when every noble must have a servant and every tradesman or craftsman must have a laborer, slavery, even if it is not called such openly, exists in a commonplace fashion. The courtyard's a rather large affair, one that seems to have appeared quite by accident as the city has grown up. It's behind one building, off the side of another, overshadowed by larger buildings, but oddly seems to go unnoticed. In fact, it's possible that some of you newly embraced kindred have walked past this courtyard and never even noticed it before. Tonight, however, it's obvious as wagons roll in one by one, bustling. This is an opportunity not just to trade goods or gather new belongings, but to establish business relationships, to build or destroy. With that, we will give an opportunity for the young neonates to introduce themselves. As the man heading up the caravan begins to hawk his wares, as it were, the wagon rolls in, doors open, goods pour out, money changes hands, and the wagon, laden down with precious metals, goods, jewelry, rolls along.
Naomi will be wandering around. She's got a little extra gold now, but she doesn't have to buy food. And she's actually looking to buy a doll.
Lucan will also be wandering around. He's not super interested in the general wares, but he had heard of the battle between the demon worshippers and the church. He's curious if anyone had any stories or anything, any relics relating to it that he might be able to reclaim for the church.
Okay. You will notice the gentleman in charge of the caravan escorting a fairly well-dressed woman of foreign nationality. He introduces her to another hooded woman briefly before he returns to the wagons. Marta would be introduced to Aranya, a woman who appears to kind of run the courtyard, as it were. She's directing people in and out, blocking those who perhaps don't have favor and thus have to wait their turn and hope that all the valuables worth anything still are around. Lucan does hear a couple of the caravan folks discussing. They kind of arrived at the battlefield at the tail end of the battle, helped patch up some of the wounded, and were given the go-ahead to help gather in some of these relics and such and return as payment for returning the remainder. So the caravan itself has some relics for sale. It has some additional ones that it has to turn over for proper interment, that sort of thing. You would notice as well that they're in between some of the wagons as they roll through. There are occasionally groups of people, not terribly well dressed, and it doesn't look like they were well equipped for the journey either. that are kind of being herded along. Some of which are herded off just as the property is.
So, that other characters know there's a 12-year-old girl hanging out with a Templar that's radiating true faith.
That's definitely weird.
Yeah.
There is a young, not very pretty woman who's decently dressed, and she's hawking herbs.
As you guys are kind of mingling through, whispers kind of go through the crowd that the prince himself plans on visiting the market tonight. Perhaps perusing the exotic wares from the demon worshippers. Perhaps looking for some new staff for his household. It's not really known what. But certainly that will make it an occasion. It will provide an opportunity, as there are some kindred to the city who are less commonly seen or even new, a chance to introduce themselves and mingle with the leadership.
Cool.
I need everyone to make me a perception alertness.
Your tail me like it.
Cool. I suppose detail-oriented applies?
No.
Lucan got 2 successes.
Oh, dice.
Oh no.
Noemi got 1.
Alright.
Oh, demon.
Josie did a murder roll.
Yes. Is it showing up?
Oh, it is. I spoke too quick.
Okay. That's fine. I had a problem with it showing up.
All right. So everybody except Catherine here's kind of through like the archway the wagons are rolling in from the sound of wood splintering and some obviously distressed shouts.
Okay.
Some shouting going on.
Looking will rush forward to investigate.
So, she's trying to keep up with Lucan. Trying. Probably not succeeding, let's be honest here.
And 12-year-old girl has a graceful hilarity. 12-year-old girl.
She's got short legs. Don't make fun of her.
So fun. So it's okay.
John, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Candor's clanmate was it Alanya?
That was Aruna.
Well, stop hawking my herbs and bid them adieu as well as say I'm going to check that out.
Okay.
I'm going to investigate that sound. Go do it.
All right. You guys would arrive to find one of the largest caravan wagons. One that appears to have been transporting remains and relics. It looks like the bottom broke out, but in a fairly odd fashion. The axle itself is broke as well. And there's kind of some of these relics and even bones and stuff scattered around, but they kind of seem to head off away from the courtyard.
Like the pieces of the bone?
Yeah, so like there's bones scattered, and it's almost like almost the appearance like if someone was carrying it and dropped pieces as they left, or perhaps they were dragged and kicked along.
Cool. I'm going to look around, and then I'm going to look in that direction, and in that direction.
Let's look at one of her perception awareness. Or alert.
Yeah, that seems legit. I'll roll one of those.
Look, and God, that's on perception alert.
Yeah, like, Naomi's at the little pieces of bone mumbling something about the poor soul and how nobody has respect.
There are things to deal with.
Isn't that strange? To be fair, she's 99% sure they're people bone. But she is following along, just at a slower pace. That's what that was for.
Alright, I'm going to have, at this point, Catherine can give me another perception alertness.
Okay. Oh.
He's gonna lay down,
Oh God.
he's gonna lay down like a... She was panicked.
Nope.
Alright.
There's fire ahead.
Oh nope.
Alright, so Catherine's busy probably checking out the stock of people being brought in.
Yep. Too busy to notice anything else, apparently.
The rest of you are continuing to follow the bones and kind of head that direction.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Alright.
She'll also say something about watch out for nuns.
As you guys continue, excuse me. A guy comes running back towards you down the street. And he's kind of staggering a little bit and yelling about a thief and tried to kill him.
What does this thief look like?
He informs you he's a hooded man, mask over his face.
Oh. I guess I'll take off running in that direction.
Don't follow.
He's gonna track people.
He'll kind of gesture down the lane towards a side alley. And Catherine can give me another perception alertness. Maybe.
Maybe she spins her willpower. I think Holly failed her real life quick alert.
Yep, I did again.
So you're 0 for 3?
Oh, I didn't hear the bit about the third one.
Yeah.
I heard the second one.
Yeah, you can make a third one.
I got two as well. Technically, it should be a higher diff, but one or two, depending on
Well,
the.
it's a separate event, so you would see a man bleeding stumble into the courtyard, yelling about a thief back down the lane. He stabbed him and kept going.
All right. are the people around me like reacting at all, like trying to get out of his way or moving away or anything? Or
Well, some of
very
more of
fine?
the caravan has, like the caravan workers and stuff, have gone out to the main street to try and move this damaged wagon in. Some of the uh, people who are obviously here doing business kind of start looking, moving towards that alley. But that's when you notice that the night with the young girl and the as well as the woman who had been selling herbs have both started down the street already after them as well.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm. And everybody seems to be ignoring the guy that's bleeding out.
Well, they've kind of, he's obviously in a panic, but they kind of let him as he is. The rest of them are trying to kind of deal with the problems. You do hear one of the like slave women or whatever who's up for sale start yelling about her. Where was her child as well? From that same direction.
Yelling what?
Where was her child? Where's her child?
Hmm.
The other three of you turn down the alley just in time to see a hooded and cloaked figure. He appears to be dragging a small child into a building.
Logan is going to command him to stop and continue chasing after him because he's probably not going to stop.
That would be correct. He does not stop.
What?
Well, chasing him.
All right. As you do, he kind of flicks his fingers back and excuse me. a small flame kind of flares up. No bigger than a handful, but enough to catch you off guard.
Do we need to make the route check rolls?
It kind of flares out relatively quickly. It wasn't anything flammable, so you do not.
Okay.
But it was fairly obvious it was something he did.
John, I want to spend a blood to go fast.
Okay.
So I'm going to multiply my move speed by 3 because celerity. H2O2. The last paragraph on this. And I'm going to rush into wherever he's going.
All right. He had kind of turned towards a room with a cellar. At this point, you begin to hear the child screaming, and it's a fairly pain shrieking wail. It carries back down the street. And actually, Catherine, if you want to make a perception alertness, since it's been going so well for you tonight.
Oh, this one's better.
You actually hear a child screaming in pain from down the street as well.
Jesus. Well, that might do it. She's going to start making her way down the street.
So, Tiger, you're basically at the door to the room he is in. Marta and Naomi are
Falling behind.
yeah, you guys are a couple doors away from the building he's in. You saw Lucan actually turn into this building, and he's within the first room. And then, Catherine, you are just barely able to see this little girl and the herb shop lady. You know, it's still an active street. It's not terribly crowded, but you can kind of see them through the crowd.
Is there any other route beyond going through the crowd to try to follow the screams?
Well, it's since I forget we don't have Streetwise because we're playing Dark Ages. Yeah, you could.
Investigation?
Yeah, let's do a wits and an investigation.
Oh boy. We're like a turd in a punch bowl. Okay, I got one.
I guess survival would have been applicable, but I think it's the same die pool for you. You're able to see that, you know, if you kind of ducked to one side, there's like crates of goods stacked along one wall, but there's a decent sized gap between them that you could move at a good full speed through that gap.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take that route then. Yeah.
So you will relatively quickly begin gaining on Marta and Nomi as they are kind of fighting the crowds here. And Tiger, you can see that the reason this kid is screaming in pain is that this guy has his kind of one hand cupped under the kid's jaw, forcing the kid to look into his eyes. Meanwhile, the kid is kind of sprouting some protrusions along his back, possibly some claws. It's hard to say exactly, but definitely being changed.
I'm gonna charge in, shouting gaze bolt. Try and get the dude off of the kid.
Okay. So you're going to try and just drag him off?
Yeah.
Alright, that would be some sort of grapple, I imagine. Maneuvers.
Grapple.
Yeah, you could grapple, you could go for a tackle. Either one would be acceptable.
Probably. Yeah, go for grapple.
Okay.
Strength roll, right? Or is it dex roll?
It's going to be Dex Brawl to grab him, and then you'd use strength to move him around.
Okay. 4 successes.
He is not going to attempt to dodge because he's engrossed in what he's doing. At this point, you can hear him kind of trying to talk to the kid, although obviously now that you've grabbed him, that interrupts that. But it seems like he was telling the kid to do something.
Is it a language I recognize?
It is, you just weren't able to make out what he was telling him because you interrupted him before he finished the thought.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Alright. So you have him grabbed. What are the other three of you doing?
Not close enough to even.
You'd be kind of at the door, so you can hear the commotion inside for sure.
Is it dark in here?
Yeah, well,
Dark through the door?
it's fairly dark. I mean, they've got contained lanterns, like glass lanterns hanging up, but it's definitely dim.
Okay. So, I just know that there's sound coming. I guess I'll quietly try to check things out further.
All right. Well, you see Lucan this night. He has this hooded guy. He looks like he just grabbed a hold of him. There's a kid, probably really only 8 or 9 years old, but he's got spikes coming out of his back and some strange claw-like growths on his hands.
Oh, goodness.
Lovely.
Why'd you have to do that to the religious one?
I think I thought,
Oh no, Naomi doesn't know what's going on, so she's just gonna drop to her knees and start praying,
Oh,
which is probably bad news.
yeah.
Alright, so any of you who are in the room itself would see Tiger as this guy kind of held. And the kid is the only other one in there. So
And I'm guessing the kid is freaked the hell out.
yeah, there's he's screaming, tears running down his face, that sort of thing.
I'm gonna try to use of course. I'll do that. Dominate one. Just try to obviously look down. Have to make eye contact, but try to calm him down with.
Alright.
I'm trying to find my roll for that. I know dominate. I know
Manipulation
dominate
into
one.
victim's current willpower, so it would be 2 right now.
And so that's cool. Yeah. Intimidation at 2.
Yes.
Okay. So. Oh, hey, fancy that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Alright. At first he kind of panics as you look into his eyes, but then he begins to relax and chill out, as it were. And then, just so we don't have anyone get lost in the shuffle here, we will go back to Marta, and there's Nomi still praying.
Yeah. Vampires may be getting uncomfortable now.
Yeah,
In the
Marta's
same room?
super uncomfortable. But she's trying to ignore it, and because she thinks that what happened to him looks familiar. Which, that's what she's trying to figure out right now.
Okay. Let's go with a perception awareness to kind of identify where exactly that is coming from.
Okay. Nope, I don't think so.
Negative. So you might even have ideas, but you're not sure what's causing that eerie feeling. None of your ideas seem sufficient. And there's nobody's going to continue to pray.
Oh, no.
That will take. What's that?
I was going to say, I wasn't trying to figure out the eerie feeling. I was trying to figure out what happened to the kid, why he has spikes and claws.
Oh.
And I had some idea about it, but I wasn't sure.
I understand.
Gotcha. Do you need to roll my willpower to ignore the disturbing feeling?
I don't think so. And of course, my book has crashed. It's going to be that kind of night. All right. Relocate my book. Alright, so you're trying to figure out what exactly happened to this kid. Let's go with a intelligence occult.
Oh, I have a much better die pool in intelligence cult. That's very good. I think I have not a much better die pool, a slightly better die pool. I don't suppose detail-oriented applies.
Two successes.
It looks like it.
Yeah, with that you would know that there's a tribe out of the east, out of the Transylvania area, that's known for altering bodies.
Okay. Are they the clan that Marta is?
They are not.
Okay. Or, I mean, at least says she is.
Right. That is not what this guy is. Based
Okay.
on what you saw.
Something different entirely.
Correct.
Cool.
Alright. We'll move to Tiger.
Okay. I'm going to start dragging the guy away from the kid.
Alright, that'll be a strength.
I failed.
Alright.
Naomi is going to walk up to Dupro and ask why he's here.
Up to the guy that Lucan has kind of grappled,
Yes.
but who apparently has the mobility of a brick wall. He just kind of sneers at you and says, I wouldn't expect one of you Westerners to understand.
Then explain. I am a child, I learn quickly. She'll sit down in front of him and cross her legs and stare at him.
He kind of starts to get a little bit agitated, obviously, especially because he's being held. He says, what is there to explain? You people come and you take our offerings and our people. Then you are surprised when one of us comes back with you and attempts to fight back. I'm kind of acting on the assumption, too, everyone hears this. So anyone else who wants to jump in, feel free.
Can I make another occult roll to try to make sense of that?
Sure. Anyone who might want to roll cult or theology is welcome to.
I'll roll me some theology.
I'm trying to figure out what the heck is up with the kid, but I don't think I have that. I think I have a cult. Intelligence occult.
Yeah, if you're looking at the kid, that could also be medicine.
Medicine. Okay.
So Lucan got no successes on his intelligence theology.
Two successes.
Oh, annoying.
Alright, if you guys all had at least one, the three of you would recognize that the Transylvanians typically made, as well as others, but they were the largest organized group, made offerings to demons or corrupt spirits as bribes. And that the things that were part of those offerings are probably sitting in wagons now as part of the collected relics.
That was my medicine roll for the kid, by the way.
Yeah, You would know that someone has somehow the bones are kind of sticking out, but he doesn't appear to be in pain from it.
He just looks weird.
Right. He's got these spikes. He's got these um, claws, and he's freaked out. But he's
You can't go in public like this ever.
Naomi's gonna take the little stick doll that she managed to be able to got earlier and hand it to the little boy. Yeah, you can play with this.
and he does kind of takes his mind off things, or at least appears to for the time being.
Maybe we should find the sorcerer.
Perhaps. You definitely need to get the child out of here, though. Somewhere safe from this one.
I'm gonna ask the man in Romanian why this child.
Why not? They're one of mine. Just as all the others were that were taken.
Somebody's wearing
Are you? Oh, go ahead, Holly.
a cloak or something because obviously I can't. You can't remove this kid from this place without covering what was done to them first. He's got claws and spikes coming out of his back.
Yep. I guess I'm going to continue to ask the side questions. Father or his owner?
He just kind of gives a laugh at that.
Naomi is going to hold up the little bone pieces that she was picking up earlier and ask what the deal is with these.
There's more remnants. I didn't have a lot of options on where to ride. You plan to let me go, or are you going to kill me just as they killed all my family, my friends, my countrymen?
That would be up to the prince.
Since he's supposed to be perusing the wares at what tonight.
I heard a rumor, yes. I can use your cloak to cover the child and take him to the church.
That will work.
So that's what they're gonna do. Lucan takes off his cloak.
No, I'll have to take an opponent's told him to.
Oh,
Gonna let him do. Should I be that heavy?
she'll do it.
So you're carrying the child, Lucan?
No, I'm holding on to the dude so he doesn't try to like.
Okay, that's what I thought, but then
But Kim's character is going to remove Lucan's cloak and wrap it around the kid so that his deformities are hidden,
perfect.
and then take him, I guess, to the church.
Yeah, that's fine. That will work. Alright, so you will begin making your way through the streets. That would be... Assuming you're going to try and do so somewhat not obviously, I'm going to have you roll a dex stealth just to see if you get to the church without...
Oof.
Oh,
Sorry.
tiger.
Is that a double botch?
Yeah. That was for.
Oh no!
No.
Oh boy.
Do I need to roll as well?
Were you going to the church with them?
I'm still hanging on to the guy. It wasn't really discussed what we're gonna do with him. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so you wouldn't have to. They're trying to move through the streets. I will have Kim give me a Dex Athletics as a couple of people start pursuing these two kids, kind of assuming they're like vagabond kids. And given the large cloak, they assume they stole something.
Dex Athletics. Okay.
You didn't fail. Got a success.
So you kind of have to take the long way around, and you have to do a little bit of running to get to lose these people. But you're able to shake them. And you kind of make a mental note of that neighborhood that maybe you should avoid it for a little bit because they definitely saw your face.
Alrighty then. So she gets in the church now?
Yes.
Alrighty. She's going to talk to her siren mentor.
And Julian's within the church. He actually has a. The church is loud enough that it has lodging for some of the church staff. So he is.
I will request to speak with him in private.
Which he will make time for you immediately.
He's going to bring the little boy in and
Right.
say a sorcerer has disformed him in the image of a demon.
I see. I didn't think we had any of their kind in the city.
Is there anything we can do to help?
Well, it is typically an art known only to their kind. Although I've heard rumors that some of the warlocks know similar arts.
I believe he is a sorcerer. That's what my vision told me.
He kind of rubs his forehead. Says, well, then I hope you lost him on your way here. Because the last thing we need is one of them following us. If he is a sorcerer capable of this, he's one of the Transylvanians. Those who have made pacts with the demons of their lands in exchange for magic and who warp life to their service.
He did say he was after the artifacts in the marketplace.
So someone who survived one of these skirmishes there and sought to reclaim their belongings, perhaps.
Lucan has him trapped to where he cannot move.
Well, if we can, if he is contained, perhaps he can be compelled to be forced to undo what he has done. There are those among the elders capable of that, including the prince. Perhaps we need to. And he kind of trails off. He goes over to his desk, and he quickly writes a letter. Pulls out a scroll of parchment, writes it, sprinkles some sand on it, presses his signet ring into it, and hands it to you. And he says, "Take the boy back to Lucan, and have both Lucan and the sorcerer meet with the prince with this letter."
Should I take a horse?
I didn't hear what you said, Kim.
She asked if she should take a horse.
He kind of stops and thinks about it, and he says, "Yes, take one of them from the church with our colors, then you won't be disrupted." He hands her a scroll case and says, "In fact, keep this visible. Then the messenger of the church is less likely to be bothered."
Alrighty. And she'll take the scroll case and all that stuff, and she'll go back to Lucan.
Okay.
There's probably a place on the horse for her to attach the scroll case, right?
Yeah, you could even loop it over the pommel. But and while she was off to the church, what were the other three of you doing?
um,
Lucan's holding it, right?
I suggest we give him the chance to plead his case before the prince. He may have been unfairly wronged.
So he took it out on a trial.
It's not a reasonable response, but if he undoes what he did, then perhaps some leniency can be found.
Aaron, what are you growling at and why? Oh my god. I'll be right back. The cat stole a sausage.
So what the rest you guys have agreed on is take him to the prince?
Yep.
Are you gonna wait for him or
We don't know if that shit's coming back, so probably just go.
So you're gonna march down to the courtyard?
Yep.
Right, so do you try and like discreetly take him down the way to the courtyard, or is it pretty obvious? You know, like do you just march him down the middle of the street at sword point? Are you dragging him?
you are armor?
I am. I'm gonna. It's not gonna be super discreet, but if anybody tries to do anything, I'm going to inform them that he will be punished as God demands, and that it is not their place to dole out the punishment. Could I do a charisma leadership role to get them to kind of go along with it?
All right.
Ooh.
Wow, I hear that.
I'm gonna spend the willpower on it.
Oh.
Alright, 3 successes.
And this was to kind of coerce him into cooperating?
No, it was to make sure nobody tries to, like, fuck with him while I'm marching him down the street.
Okay. So you're kind of doing the tough guy impression.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's fun. It's it's kind of a back or side street, so you're definitely the biggest guy on the street.
She would have go by the marketplace first to see if the prince was there.
That's fine.
Just for the sake of ease.
And while you guys haven't been introduced to the prince, you both kind of have seen him at a distance and know who you're looking for. So give me a perception alertness.
Let me do it. You double botched last time.
That was a stealth roll.
I got 3 successes.
And
So you pick out the prince spot for you. And he does kind of seem to be walking through the carts. Like if he's looking for something specific.
Naomi will ride up to him on the horse and say, "Sir, a letter from the church for you."
He'll kind of sniff a little bit. And you know, while he pays respect to the church, he sometimes feels that the church is more powerful than it should be type attitude. So, but he does take the letter and he reads it. He looks at you and he says, "So I suppose that would be the child then."
And she'll nod.
And where is the sorcerer? Do we know?
Lucan has him captive. If you would like to join me on my horse, I can lead you to him faster.
We will follow on foot. I wish to make sure the sheriff does not fall behind.
She'll nod and start heading the direction that they found the sorcerer at.
Alright. And if the rest of you guys want to make a perception alertness to notice them moving around, kind of coming back towards you guys. So we still need a perception alertness from Holly.
Oh, nice.
Standard.
Yes. Alright, so you guys all spot the prince relatively quickly as he's kind of headed towards the direction you guys came from. And you would see, only with the prince, excuse me, and the boy on the back of a horse, covered in a cloak. The prince seems to spot you guys at about the same time, and he'll point you out to Nomi and confirm that that is in fact Lucan, having never met him.
She'll confirm.
And they'll kind of head over, and he will look at all of you and ask if this is in fact the sorcerer that had tormented the boy.
Then we'll say yes. We saw him pulling the boy into the building down the street. He was doing this when we burst into the room.
Well, we can't have something sloppy like this drawing attention. Lord knows that mortals are superstitious lot as it is.
Nomi's just gonna ignore that.
Yeah, I don't know the movie how it feels like about that. What would you have done with him, sir?
He grabs the sorcerer by the collar and stares in his eye, just kind of right into his eyes, gets up in his face, and, very bluntly, you will fix the boy back to the way he was when you found him. And the sorcerer nods and turns and begins to do so.
First strike dominate.
All right. Once the boy is healed, you see a rather infamous vampire in the area. Theophilus, often just called the Greek. He's the current sheriff of Genova. And when he walks up, the prince tells the sorcerer to hold still. And Silas the Greek buries a stake into the sorcerer's heart. And then he kind of just takes the corpse and stands with it. And the prince says, "I appreciate you recovering my goods in one piece. I'm given to understand that these strange sorcerer warlords from the mountains there know many different tricks. And I paid handsomely to have one brought to me. It seems I overpaid as they could not keep him contained. However, as the four of you were able to recover him for me, as well as demonstrate some forethought and, quite frankly, some compassion for the child, I think it's past time that we formally meet. But not tonight. I have enough matters to deal with. I'd like the four of you to join me, let's say tomorrow evening, 2 hours after sunset. Take some time and prepare yourself. We will actually meet in the let's meet my family home. In fact, I will make it known that if anyone else has any concerns they wish to bring in front of me, we will hold an open court at my home tomorrow. All four of you can introduce yourself more thoroughly there, as well as any sires or guardians you have within the city that wish to vouch for you. Give an opportunity for other newly embraced to bring themselves forward. Normally, newly embraced that are embraced without me being aware are removed. The city can't support an indefinite population. There's a reason I regulate the siring of child. But rest assured, whether your sires were given that authorization or not for the service rendered tonight, I will grant you that all of you will be permitted to live within the city and make your own way. I'm sure further opportunities for us to work together will arise. But for the evening, I bid you farewell. Unless there's anything else.
Well, I do have one question.
Hey, stop it. Sorry.
And what would that be?
Was it that you wanted one of these sorcerers for?
Well, money isn't the only way to compel someone to do what you want. And
That's certainly true.
thoroughly compelled, I suspect this one will answer my questions, perhaps demonstrate some of his tricks, and if I find them to be more useful than some parlor tricks, then perhaps they will be necessary for him to teach me or one of my agents. There are things one can't learn from letters and reports. And I am certainly not about to suspend my business to travel over there.
Certainly true.
Shall we plan then tomorrow evening?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Rest assured, refreshments will be provided. And with that, he and the sheriff turn and walk to a sort of a small covered carriage, and they get in it, loading their cargo, and ride off.
Okay, let's return the child to his mother.
She is quite grateful and tells you that if you are ever looking for a warm meal or a shoulder to cry to, you should seek her out.
Did we just get a dot of ally?
Yeah, it would be. She's mortal, but still useful. She tells you that her and her extended family will be working primarily in the orchards at the edge of the city.
Okay.
But that there will always be a place at their table for you.
Naomi will warn her that the child was traumatized and might speak of nightmarish things.
Well, I imagine being snatched by some strange man would be hard on the boy, but nothing we can't work out of him. A few strong meals or a few good meals and some hard labor tends to help one forget one's troubles. The market seems to kind of be winding down for the evening. Josie, you would be informed by Aranya that you have your wagon has a corner of this courtyard that you may use. Should you come through and you cannot find the courtyard, go into the row houses, and the last door on the left is unlocked and always vacant. You may have to go through there and out the window to get to the courtyard, as she does regularly cause the entrance to vanish.
Okay.
It wouldn't be very private if I left it open all the time.
It's true.
Is there anything specific you guys wanted to accomplish yet at the market for the evening or elsewhere in the city before you head back before dawn?
I was gonna try and get one of the relics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking for a belonging, not necessarily physical remains.
Right.
There's a couple of different weapons in a different style. Knives, an axe, and a sword. There's some bracers. Most of this having been recovered on the battlefield. There's also a standard, like a unit standard. Probably one's hung up on a post so that other soldiers could kind of see where the commander was at.
Okay. Let's see.
Aranya will also make a point to introduce herself to the other three of you. She would inform all of you that she is Aranya and that you are standing in her market yard. You're welcome here. Business tends to be 5 to 6 times they receive a caravan in a lunar cycle, provided it is a decent weather.
She will inquire if there are any candle makers.
Yeah, we have a candle maker a couple blocks away who's supposed to be pretty good. Likes to put flowers in some of his candles. And if no one else had anything they wanted to get done at the market, then I assume we will all head back to our respective sanctums.
Back to the brothel.
Out of character, I don't know if you guys all introduced yourselves to one another or if it kind of just informally. I know some of you knew each other, but I don't know that anyone, well, no one would have known Josie's character because she just arrived. You guys may have met Catherine in passing, but that would be less likely, given one of you is a religious knight and the other one's a child.
Sorry, not you guys, the cat.
But there will also be opportunities at the formal court. So, everyone is heading back to their sanctums for the night. I will plan to wrap this up and we'll pick up at tomorrow evening with our next session.
Okay.
All right. This has been our first episode of Genova by Night, 1245. And we appreciate all of you joining us. We appreciate the players for playing, watchers for watching. And we look forward to seeing you at sunset tomorrow.